everyone, and welcome to the Spirit Speaker KC podcast. I am psychic medium Jamie Collins. Welcome, welcome. I appreciate you tuning in. And I thought today a topic I would discuss is what happens sometimes when I'm in a reading and I have a client and someone comes through that they don't want to hear from. Now, mind you, this doesn't happen very often. I want you to know that in my 15 years of doing readings, this has maybe happened 5 times where someone during a session, a one-on-one session, and someone came through and the client said, I don't want to hear from them. And I want to make the distinction here right at the beginning. This isn't when a client's like, oh, well, I really wanted to hear from this person rather than this person. This is when they truly do not want to hear a single thing from the spirit person who has stepped forward. I mean, like nothing. So how do we handle this? How do we go about this? I think it's really important to remember first and foremost before everything. If you're a developing medium or a practicing medium, I'm sure you have this in your spiel at the beginning, or hopefully you should have it. So at the beginning, before you begin a session, all mediums have a little spiel that they go through. This is how I work. This is how mediumship works for me. So we all have a minute or 2, 3 minutes of how a reading will look, what will go on through in the reading. And so one of the things that I always say during my spiel is I have no control over who comes through. And I truly as a medium believe that. I don't 1-800 dial spirit, call in different spirits. I want your mom, I want your dad, I want your whomever. I don't do that. I'm truly a believer that whoever comes forward is who is supposed to come forward. So this is part of my spiel. Clients know this from the get-go. And 99% of the clients know this. They know that you have no control over who comes through. But maybe you've got someone who's new to mediumship and they're not sure how this works. They've never had a reading before. And so I think it's really, really important, mediums, that this is in our spiel, that I have no control over who comes through. So let's say you've given your spiel, you know this, and you begin the reading. And someone comes through that the sitter, the client, does not want to hear from. And I can still remember the very first time this ever happened to me. I was giving a reading and a woman's dad came through and she interrupted me. And when I said, I have a gentleman, I believe it's your dad, is your dad in spirit? She goes, yes, and I do not want to hear from him. Not just the casual, oh, dang it, I didn't want to hear from, like whatever was going on or happened in their relationship, she in no way, shape, or form wanted to hear from her dad. And she was serious. And so I right away explained to her, I said, you remember I told you during my spiel that you or me have no control who comes through. And she goes, I understand that, but I don't want to hear from him. And she was like, so can we move on? And I said, again, I have to at least give a little bit about why they are here. And then I will see if I can move on. But you have to remember, I'm a big believer, and it's my belief when I'm teaching, that those spirits who have the greatest need are the ones who step forward. There is a reason that they come forward. There is a need for that soul, that spirit, to come through to their loved one who's there for the reading. But there are people who absolutely, positively do not want to hear from certain members. And I remember a one I had recently about a year ago. The woman stood up. She was there with her daughter. It was a mom and daughter. And someone came through, a husband slash dad came through. And the mom goes, absolutely not. I do not want to hear from him. And she stood up and was walking out of the room. She, in no way, shape, or form, wanted to hear from this gentleman. And so that's why I say it's a difference between, oh, I really wanted someone else, but I'll take this one, to no, I do not want to hear from him. And so the daughter's telling the mom, oh, come on, mom, let's see. So what I explained, this is what I do in a situation like this. I will tell the client, I will say, look, one, I have no control who comes through. Number two, would it be okay with you if I give you the message from this loved one, just give you 2 or 3 sentences, and then I will move on? I want to give the message. I feel like it's really important for you to get this message. And so she did agree. And both of them, the very first time I remember it happening, every time that it has happened, I tell them, may I please give the message from this loved one? Because I really feel like this is important. And as I explained to you earlier, we have no control. So I did that. I brought or felt the gentleman in spirit here. I kind of got a sense of what the message is. I gave the message to the mom and the daughter, and I said, would that make sense? Do you understand this? They both said yes. And then mom reiterated again, but I'd like him to step back. So what I did is, in my mind, as I'm connecting with that loved one, I tell them, hey, I delivered your message, or at least some of what you came forward from. Could you please step back? That's all I could do. Now, there may be some out there that would maybe say, well, I can't control it. I have to do this, and I can give you a refund or a partial refund back. So some mediums may decide I have to give the message from who steps forward and offer a refund, or reschedule and see if someone different comes up. I don't know. I'm just telling you how I handle it when I get someone who doesn't want to hear from someone. And I mean strongly. I just say, may I give the message? I give the message. It might be a case where someone needs to step forward and apologize about something. It may be something going on about that relationship that they had when they were in the physical. So what I do is give the message from the spirit communicator, and then I move on and sense if someone else, and bring forward, ask spirit to bring forward someone else. And I know there may be some out there who are going, well, what happens if you invite someone else and no one shows up? That hasn't happened. I've been very fortunate, but I really believe spirit is quite intelligent, and spirit would know, okay, we've got to, I believe spirit is helping me out. So I believe that I'm helping spirit. I'm giving the message, what I'm sensing the message, 2, 3, 4 sentences to that client, and then I move on. And I've been very fortunate where then someone else does come through, someone that the communicator would like to hear from, or at least they're not opposed to hearing from. So that's how I handle it. And it's really one of those things that even once the reading was over, the session was over, again, I explained to both of these women at different times, the mom and the daughter and the other one that I can remember, I just explained to them, you have to understand whether you come to me as a medium or you go to any other medium. I said, we have no control over who comes through. You have to understand that. And I really like you to be, just remember that if you want to get other sessions, or just try to have an understanding of being open to hearing what that loved one wants to hear, what that loved one wants to say, what they want to come through with. Because I'm truly a believer, if they're coming through, they have a need. And this is another thing, I don't feel like the need is just for the spirit communicator. Whether the sitter or client knows it or not, it's something they need as well. They just may not realize it. And I've heard many a time from clients over the years, once someone came through that maybe they didn't want to hear from very much, at the end of the session when we're having feedback, they will say, Jamie, I really needed that. I needed to hear that. Or I'll get an email a couple days later, like, Jamie, I really didn't want to hear from that person, but after I gave it some thought, I really did need that. So I don't believe that need is just from the spirit communicator. I trust spirit. I believe in the intelligence and the wisdom of those across the veil. And I truly believe that they come through because there's a need. I did not have a very strong relationship with my father. Really, basically, none. But I remember the very first couple times that I got readings from a medium. My father would be the first one there, the first one. And I'd be like, oh, geez, why is he coming through? So it wasn't bad enough where I was at that point where I told the medium, nope, don't want to do this. No, I'm going to leave. I want my refund. I didn't do that. I just was like, okay, there must be a reason that he really needs to come through. And I have to have an open heart, an open mind, and allow him to come through for whatever reason that it was that he needed to come through. And like I said, I needed it as well, even though I may not have realized it, especially the first couple times it happened. I was like, yeah, okay, I needed that. I may not want to own up to it or look in the mirror and admit it, but when hindsight being 2020, when I looked back on it, I was like, okay, I needed that. And I believe the soul continues to grow on the other side. And I truly believe that my father needed that for his soul growth, his soul evolvement on the other side. So if you're a developing medium and that comes up, or you're practicing medium and that comes up, I would just ask you, first of all, make sure you have it in your spiel at the beginning. When you tell a client what a session will be like with you, that you have no control who comes through. And that if it does happen, even though I have to say it doesn't happen very often, I will be honest there, it doesn't happen, but I've had it happen a handful of times. And if it does happen, ask the client if you may give the message, what you're sensing from that spirit communicator very quickly. May I give you what I'm feeling from your loved one, and then I will move on. And I believe you'll find that most clients are very open to that. All righty. I hope that helps. And if you're one of those mediums and someone gets irate and you want to try to reschedule, or you want to give them a refund or partial refund, do what you do what works best for you. But I really believe if you ask the client to be open and say, can I deliver the message? And then I will move on. More likely than not, they'll be okay with that. I hope that helps. Don't forget to tune into my YouTube channel at Spirit Speaker KC. Also, you can catch episodes on Spotify. I thank you so much, and I will see you next time.